This year's keynote speaker brought empowerment and inspiration to the student orientation, had once quoted, "Indigenous University is for everyone. It's a place of dialogue, it's a place of community. It's a responsibility for all of us." That we were never a literate people. The importance of story is in our culture. Indigenous people have been hurt for generations by layered historic, social, cultural trauma. That in healing, we need to want to listen. We had the honor to meet and talk with him.
Welcome to Thunder Bay.
Miigwech, thanks. I love coming here. I've been here, I think, about half a dozen times over the past year or so, and done lots of different things with the university here and with educators, and now with the student orientation today, so it's great.
It's really nice to see people walk up to you and, thank you for sending a really great message.
My message today was education's a tough journey, and university's not for everybody. We can do work as Indigenous people inside and outside the university. But my message today was, if you're going to try university, if that's your path, then here's the obstacles you're going to face. You're going to face a lot of people who are going to say you can't do it. You're going to face a lot of obstacles, a lot of rocks in the path. A lot of people say come off the path. And they might not just be people. Sometimes they're life events, sometimes they're death, sometimes they're finances, whatever it might be, those things. But every time you step off the path, it's one step you got to take back to be able to get onto that path, back onto that path to be able to get completion. And starting something is a commitment. It's like laying tobacco. It's like saying, I'm going to do this journey, and I commit to, because we all know that we don't just represent ourselves when we go out there. It's also our families, our communities, and our children. And I brought my child to come and hear that message, because I think that she also needs to see, not me doing this work, but she needs to see all these incredible Indigenous peoples taking this very risky step of advocating for themselves, being people who want to create a real dynamic, beautiful sense of Anishinaabe, and living true according to who we are, whether you're a nurse or a lawyer or a business person or whatever that might be. What I hope is that when you finish your degree, that you don't forget that path, and that you share that warmth with our people. Don't turn away from our people just because you're off there as a professor, or you're running a business, or even if you're a bus driver. Remember that you are doing work that is also creating warmth for others and opportunities for others. I come from a non-Indigenous people as well, and we all inherit legacies of residential schools, whether it be trauma, which is very, at times, easy to understand, especially if you're in the middle of it, right? It might be legacies of alcohol or substance abuse or violence or whatever that might be within your family. Sometimes it might be shame, it might be fear, and legacies don't just begin with my grandfather, of course. There's multiple ways that my family's been impacted by the schools, whether it be the trauma that some of my grandfather experienced that came through my family, but also my non-Indigenous side. We can't forget that residential schools, the curriculums of residential schools, were not just that Indigenous children were savages. It was also that Canadians were superior. And so people in my family, for example, kind of also have this legacy relating to Indigenous peoples that sometimes it's hard to encapsulate over Thanksgiving dinner, or holiday time. And it involves really hard conversations in my own family, and so I think residential school doesn't just impact my Indigenous family, also impacts my non-Indigenous family, and that makes for, I think, interesting and what I hope to be hopeful conversations, where at times they're uncomfortable, but what I hope at the end of the day we can look at each other as a family and say we're all in this thing, and how is it that we can live together meaningfully and peacefully and also love each other. That at the end of the day is really what I hope, and I try to model that for my children. And I also try to model that for my students, the ones that I work with, and as a person within the public eye, kind of trying to think about how is it that I can provoke those conversations elsewhere, whether it be in my column, or whether it be a talk like this, or whether it be just meeting people on the street.
That's right, you do have a column. You want to talk about that?
So I'm a columnist, so what I do is I take all the work of journalists around me and I sort of think, okay, what does all this mean? And that's my job as a columnist, to sort of try to give a perspective and a history to often what media doesn't have an opportunity often within a story to be able to, in a thorough way, give a context of a shooting, for example, or why Tina Fontaine, why she was murdered. And so I think my job as a columnist is to make a comment and remind people about history, remind the nation, but also talk about what it all means for all of us. And what I hope to do sometimes is to bring it in such a way that it shows light, but it also is something where we can see where we can go from here. That's what I hope. If we had lived according to the original agreements that people had lived on, that had agreed upon in order to live together. I come from Treaty 1 territory, and I keep having to remind peoples, whether it be the Selkirk Treaty of 1817 or the treaty or Treaty 1, there was a spirit within that treaty, predominantly brought from Indigenous people, but non-Indigenous peoples definitely understood at least parts of it. And it was around the notion of family and commitment to each other. You don't take your family and toss them on the street and forget about them and ostracize and marginalize them from the environment. You don't take young women and murder them and then let the alleged person who did it go away with no punishment. You don't treat people in such a way that you don't even think they're there, terra nullius, and just move them onto reserve. All of this didn't have to be this way, and that's my message. If I leave anything in my life, is that it never had to be this way, and it doesn't have to be this way. The thing about humans that I've learned in the world, and I've traveled to a number of places, is when humans want things to get done, it gets done. You just got to have bravery, and I see a lack of bravery and courage in much of discussions around relationships, or what it means to be Canadian, or when it comes to, we can't have Indigenous peoples part of the government, we can't integrate the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, we can't do the TRC calls to action. Well, a lot of that's just cowardice. You just got to have courage. You really got to have courage. You got to say, we're committed to each other, we're going to make this thing happen, because we can put somebody on the moon. We could give a little bit of education to our children, and we can talk about what does it mean to live together peacefully. We can take this 99.8% of stolen, taken, removed land, and we can begin to share it equitably. Like, we can do anything.
So never give up, right?
Yeah, no, never give up. Education's a lot where it starts, because these guys right here, all these students here, they're the ones who are going to inherit this thing. They're going to inherit this legacy. And what I hope is that I do a little bit in my lifetime that makes their load a little different. It won't be lighter, it'll just be different. Education's a hard journey. It's not for everybody. We can do our work outside of the university, but if you're going to be inside the university, you should know what's ready for you, or what's coming for you. What are the parts of the path that's going to be challenging, and know that those things are coming, and to be ready for them, to know there are people who love you and support you, and more importantly, there are people coming after you that you are working for now, that you're opening the doorway for. So I'd say that would be the message for today.
His love and passion for family and meeting everyone, including Shabastic, who played during the Maadaadazi 2018 Student Orientation at Marina Park, was for everyone. And at the 10th annual Fall Harvest, they taught about our culture and the beauty of staying connected.
Organize this fall harvest this year?
Yes, it's our 10th annual, so it's an event that we organize every year, but it's an event that's hosted by our elders, so members of our Elders Council. They're the ones who come and display and showcase different traditional activities, so we're really grateful and honored that our elders are always able to do this for us and for all the students in the community.
Nice. So was it hard to pick the tables that came out today, like really interesting?
No, those are chosen by the elders, so they decide for themselves what it is they'd like to do. So whether it was the goose or the bannock or the sweat lodge teachings, all of the elders stepped up to showcase whatever it was that they're most interested in or the traditional teachings that they carry. We always get a really great turnout, whether it's from the Aboriginal community or whether it's international students or other Lakehead communities, community staff, faculty, students. It doesn't matter who it is, they always come and they have a great time because it's an event that's open to everyone.
So and that's the LU teepee?
This teepee was actually donated to our department because one of our older teepees had been slashed. So there was a media event around that, and the teepee was repaired, and we did use it for several more years. And then this one here was donated, so yeah, we're great to have that.
Oh, right
And we're getting a
on.
new one too, so I'm excited.
Oh, bigger?
Maybe. So most of our events, they are posted on the Lakehead University website, the Lakehead University events calendar. We also have a Facebook page, so if you're on Facebook and you like Lakehead University Aboriginal Culture and Support Services, you'll see all of our events and activities for the academic year all posted there. Community events, job postings, bursaries, scholarships, they're all there.
Right on. Thank you so much, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
Storytelling and fish frying, bannock making were only a few of the things that were happening at the 10th annual Fall Harvest at the Lakehead University.
Hey, this looks like a donut.
What is the flavor?
The flavor probably would be the wood, the bannock.
Okay.
It adds flavor to the bannock.
The wood itself.
It adds flavor once it goes inside there. That's I used to scrape it off. But I don't scrape it off now because I won't.
Orders from the elder.
Oh yeah.
People call, like some people call pickerel walleye and some people call walleye pickerel. So they're the same fish, but people call them different things. Yeah. Depends where you're from, what you call it.
Okay.
Fried pickerel.
And did you pick it?
What?
Did you catch the fish?
No, I didn't catch the fish. I'm just a volunteer cutting up the fish.
Oh, okay.
I'm just taking out the middle bones right here.
There you are. You're welcome.
And cutting them up into nice pieces.
Kind of got the tail end of that one.
Okay.
Oh, I see. They're already cut for you, and so you're just cutting the bones out.
Yeah, so they're already, sorry. They already have the rib bones taken out and everything. The only bones that are left are these ones down the middle here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just taking those out real quick and then cutting them into bite-sized pieces.
Where did you learn how to cut fish?
My dad taught me. I grew up in Dryden, which is like 4 hours west of here.
Okay.
So we did a lot of hunting and fishing and all that good stuff.
Nice. And so he taught you when you were younger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My earliest memories are in a boat or in a sleeping bag in the woods.
Ever nice. Are you Indigenous?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey.
I'm actually French.
And you're French?
Yeah.
Yeah. Say your name.
Caitlin Twants.
Okay, Caitlin Twants. And so you're flouring the fish.
Yeah, flowering. And my sister Melissa Twants is frying the fish over the fire.
Okay. And is it just flour?
Yeah, we usually just use flour because it's, I don't know, it keeps the fish like, you can taste it. It doesn't overpower the flavor.
Nice. Okay. And because some people use salt and pepper, and so the flour just keeps the natural.
Yeah, it keeps it
flavor.
crispy but keeps the flavor.
Cool. Right on.
Oh, and rose hips in there too. That's why
So
it's so
cedar, Labrador, and rose hip.
smooth. Yeah, that's why it's so smooth. That rose hip makes it smooth.
Yeah. Hello, I'll try and pull some up. Yeah, so with the berries on it,
Yeah.
that's the rose hip.
Did you try this yet?
Oh, yes.
What is it?
It's tea, man.
Yeah.
You have some? Yeah, no. Are you sure? It's tea right there. It's cooking on the fire. It's delicious.
Oh,
Taste everything.
you can taste everything?
Taste the cedar. The Labrador leaves are a little bit faint, but the cedar is very predominant.
Nice.
It's very, very good.
Right
very good.
on. Thank you so much.
Is this
I know the fall harvest has been here for a while now. Like,
Yeah.
and this is your first year coming here.
Yeah, it is.
And so you've been to the LU for 4 years.
Yeah, so I attended and I did a 4-year program from 2012 to 2016.
Yes.
And this is my first year back in the 2-year education program and my first time to the fall harvest.
Nice. And so, being here and experimenting, like, did you know a lot of what the teachings are here today?
I knew a little bit, not a ton. So like I had a general idea, and definitely volunteering really helped just kind of to like learn more. And again, like making the tea, like I've never actually made the tea before, and that was really cool. And stewing blueberries, that was new. And yeah.
And talking with the elders.
Yeah, that was really cool. They know so much, and they were really helpful in giving instructions.
Nice. So would you be comfortable like making your own the next time?
Oh, I don't know if I'd be comfortable going to find my own like plants and stuff,
Right.
because I wouldn't know. I'm sure there's different things that look alike, but yeah, like making it if I had the ingredients given, yeah, definitely. So I've always been pretty comfortable like asking elders questions. I'm from Victogon, like Pick River, so I'm a member of there. So I'm like pretty familiar with like asking elders. I know they're super friendly. Like I've never had a bad experience. So yeah, and I'm curious and just like always learning more. And
Generations of First Nations people relied on birch bark teachings for tikanogans, canoes, and all pieces were used for something.
Like when we were preparing for maple season, the people of Fort William First Nation made about 1,000 birch bark baskets to go harvest maple syrup.
And they held them in birch bark.
Yes. These are very waterproof.
Yeah. Like we were just, my dad was just telling me that you could cook with birch bark over an open fire.
Did you see that?
Indigenous education through sweat lodges, ceremonies, and staying connected to Mama Aki, and all people, especially youth, come out to learn. The belated respected elder Richard Lyon's quote reminds us, "Whenever I stop doing Indian activities, happy times will be no more." This is Niigaanwewidam James Sinclair with Net News Ledger. Chimigwich.